Hello everyone, this is Mr. Elrod, and today we're going to be looking at AP European History Writing. So in the previous video that we looked at, we just discussed the different types of writing that you're going to be doing in the European History class. And so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a little bit closer look at the rubrics that we're going to be using for this year. Now, the reason that this is important to go over is because if you're going to take the European History test, you need to know what exactly it is that they're looking for when it comes to the different questions. Okay, and so the reason we're also going over this is because the rubrics just changed this year, so the points are different, the point totals are different, the way that you go about getting points is a little bit different. So it's really important just to pay attention to that, so that way it gives you kind of a direction as you're going about answering the questions, so you can make sure you pick up the maximum amount of points possible. So we're really not going to worry about looking specifically at what changed and what stayed the same, those kinds of things. We're just going to address the rubrics themselves and the way that they look, so that you guys can get kind of an idea of what it is that you need to do. So this comes directly from the College Board website. You can log on to the AP Central and you can look at it for yourself. I'm just going to kind of walk you through here and show you how it is that you get the points in the European History Writing. So you see the first one we're looking at is the DBQ rubric. You'll see that's worth 7 points. The DBQ is worth 7. The long answer question is worth 6. Now the short essay questions actually don't come with the rubric because they are content specific, and so they're not necessarily looking for writing skills. They're just looking for you to answer the question, so there is not going to be a rubric for that that you can find. Okay, so we'll just work through here. So you'll notice that a lot of these are just very basic in terms of writing skills for a history class. So the first part is a thesis. Do you have a good thesis or not? And so basically, you just need to make sure that whatever the question is, you can develop a thesis for that. And remember, the thesis kind of should provide you with the framework and the roadmap with which you are going to address the question in your essay. Remember, don't just simply repeat the prompt. You need to talk about what are some of the general ideas that you're going to be addressing within your essay, and hopefully your teacher is going to be going over thesis writing and things like that with you. Second part is contextualization. Again, that's only 1 point. You have to frame your answer within, or you have to at least discuss the broader historical context. Now, important that here you need to it's not just about mentioning what's in the document. You need to kind of deal with what's going on outside of the documents and help the reader understand that you understand how this particular question fits in things that are kind of happening before, historically, after historically, and some other things, kind of some broader things that are going on within that particular time period. Okay, so the next part is the evidence portion. Okay, so you'll notice this is broken up into 2 parts. It's 3 points total, and so let's see here. It's broken up into 3 points total, and so you have the situation where you're using evidence from the documents. Okay, so what they're looking for you to do is for you to address things that are specifically mentioned in the documents. The phrase that they use a lot of times is inside the box. When you look at the DBQs, you notice that the documents are actually inside, there's a dark black line that goes around the document, so you need to mention something that's going on inside the document. So notice that for the 1 and 2 point, you need to address at least 3 documents in order to get 1 point, and then to extend it beyond and get that 2 points, you need to use at least 6 documents. So it supports an argument in response to the prompt. Okay, and so that's actually going beyond the 1 point, because that you're just using evidence from 3 documents. The 2 point, where you can get 2 points, is you have to use the evidence from at least 6. There will be 7 documents from at least 6 documents in support, using that evidence to support whatever argument it is that you are making. So not just stating what's in there, but using that in your argumentation piece. Okay. Now the third point comes from here, where it says evidence beyond the documents. So you have to mention something specific, whether it's an event or a person or some sort of, I guess event and person kind of cover a lot of things, don't they? But anyway, something's it may be a signing of a document. Obviously that'd be an event, but whatever. So something specific that is not mentioned in the documents. Okay, so please notice that this is different from contextualization. Okay, Now, contextualization obviously can be things that are outside the document also. So you just need to make sure that the evidence beyond the document is going to be different from when you're looking at the contextualization. So, of these 3 points, the first 2 are really you're dealing with the evidence that's inside the document, since the third point you have to do the evidence that's beyond the documents. Okay, and then the last 2 points are for analysis and reasoning. Okay, so this is that discussion on point of view. Notice you only have to do 3. It says for at least 3 documents explains how or why the document's point of view, purpose, historical situation, and/or audience is relevant to the argument. Okay, and so it's really dealing with what's going on inside that document and why does the document say why is it that the document says what it does? What is this going to impact the document? And then how can you use that within the argumentation of your particular essay? Okay, so that's 1 point. So to give 1 point, you have to do that for at least 3 documents. And then the next point just demonstrates a complex understanding of the historical development that is the focus of the prompt, using evidence to corroborate, qualify, or modify an argument that addresses the question. Okay, and so this is getting more at, I guess this point is looking more at those who are a little bit more skilled in understanding historical argumentation, understanding that you can't really paint things with a broad brush, and so you have to look at some things that maybe provide some things that require qualification when you're dealing with that particular question. Okay, and so you can read some more extended conversation here to the right. Okay, and you can read exactly how it is that you get that point. So again, notice it's a 2-part. When we talk about point of view, that's 1 point, and then the second point is really just kind of going above and beyond what you did in the first point. Okay, so that's the DBQ. Next, we're going to move on to the LEQ. Now you'll notice that this is only 6 points. It's very similar to the DBQ, except for you don't have that document piece. You don't have to deal with evidence that's inside the documents because there are no documents to deal with in the long essay question. So you have the thesis, contextualization, same thing, using evidence. Okay, now this is where the LEQ is a little bit harder because you don't have documents to refer back to. Okay, so you have to provide specific evidence. So again, you're talking about either people or events, whatever, historical evidence in order to support your claim that you're making with the prompt. Okay, so remember, the questions are going to, the whole point behind the questions is to get you to make some sort of argumentation. Okay, and so you're going to have to create or generate this evidence for that argumentation. Okay, and so that's really the skill that they're looking at you to get. So again, the 1 point is kind of basic. You know, maybe 2 pieces. It doesn't give you a specific number, but maybe 1 or 2 specific pieces of evidence. The 2 points, okay, says using specific and relevant examples of evidence. So I would assume that you're just extending this a little bit more. You're going a little bit deeper. Let's see, provide specific. So it says is relevant to the topic. So I guess they just would feel like if they gave you 1 point, they feel like maybe you weren't using that in the realm of argumentation. You were just simply using it as a piece of evidence. That's just a part of the conversation, but not necessarily for argumentation. So that's really going to be kind of it's really going to be up to the reader to decide how it is that you're using that evidence. Okay, and one thing I might recommend to you is that whatever argumentation you're trying to make, you want to make sure you at least provide 2 pieces of specific evidence for that argumentation, especially maybe like per paragraph if you're trying to address, you know, maybe it asks you to give like 3 reasons why, you know, something happened. You know, maybe three reasons why women's position changes in society in a particular period. Okay, and so for each of those reasons or each of those areas, you want to provide 2 specific pieces of evidence. So that'd be a total of 6 specific pieces of evidence. So anyhow, moving on, the last piece is the analysis and reasoning portion. So same thing. It's the exact same thing as we were looking at with the DBQ. Now notice this is where they're getting at the historical skills. Okay, it's talking about comparison, causation, change, and continuity over time. Okay, so the questions they ask you are specifically going to address those particular historical skills. skills. So obviously comparison, we're looking at two different either time periods or geographic locations. Causation, why did one thing happen as a result of another? Changing continuity over time, how did something either stay the same or change as you went from one period to the next? And so really all you need, the only reason you need those is because it helps you to focus your writing and really kind of address the things that they're wanting you to address. Okay, so again, with D part, it's a 1 and a 2. So 1 is kind of very basic, and 2 is going to be dealing with that on a much deeper level. Okay, so they just feel like you have a deeper understanding of how it is that you're using that particular type of argumentation. So again, it's going to be up to the reader, kind of qualitative. Come over here to the right and read what College Board is looking for. Okay, it says to earn the second point, the response must demonstrate a complex understanding. This can be accomplished in a variety of ways. Okay, and I would say that's important to look this over, this section I just highlighted, and pay attention to that and maybe commit it to memory so that regardless of what question comes up, you know there are a variety of ways in which you can go about trying to get both of these points. Because of course, really what's going to set you apart in this particular test is going to be the writing piece. A lot of people are going to do relatively well on the multiple choice portion. It is the writing pieces that are really going to set you apart. So I really encourage you to study these rubrics, make sure you know what it is that you need to address in each of the questions, so that way you can keep track and you can make sure that you collect as many possible points as you can for each question. Alright, there's more to this document. It talks about the different themes and whatnot. We're not going to deal with that today. All we're looking at are the rubrics. So if you hope you found that to be helpful, I would encourage you to go to the AP Central website, get this document for yourself, look over the rubrics, again familiarize yourself with them, so you can do that on your own time. So once again, I hope you found that helpful, and as always, I hope to see you next time.